Hello and welcome to my channel, Allergy Dragon. My name is Martha and today we're going to be making gluten-free chicken tenders, or as my daughter likes to call them, gluten-free chicken tendies. Okay, we're going to start making our chicken tendies right now. What I have here is about a pound of chicken tendies, or chicken tenders. They're skinless, boneless. I do that to reduce the fat. You can use chicken thighs. You can use this breading recipe for even for a whole chicken. You would just have to increase your breading. So with that being said, we'll get started with the chicken tenders. Okay, let's go over our dry ingredients for our breading for our chicken tendies. This is 1 cup of our gluten-free flour blend. You can use any blend that you like, whatever your preference is. Okay. Then we're going to use 2 cups of gluten-free breadcrumbs. This is 2 tablespoons of Italian seasoning blend, 2 tablespoons of parsley. This is 2 tablespoons of onion. The recipe down below is going to actually say a tablespoon of onion powder and a tablespoon of garlic, but we actually use extra onion because my daughter is allergic to garlic. Then I have a 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of pepper. I have 2 tablespoons of paprika. Okay, let's grab our bowl. We're going to go ahead and start putting our items in to the dry mix. Put the flour in, salt, pepper, paprika, the onion powder. And it's good to just go ahead and dump it all in because you're going to mix it up anyway, so it's really not that big a deal. Go ahead and do 2 cups of breadcrumbs. When I was first diagnosed with celiac, I was so worried about being able to enjoy my favorite foods. I'm a southern girl and I like fried chicken, I like biscuits and gravy, I like all that stuff that, you know, it's not real healthy for us, but those are our comfort foods. Those are things that we enjoy, and I was determined to be able to eat them again. So, let's put everything over here and get it a little bit out of the way. Go ahead and grab a spatula, magical spatula. And I'm just going to mix everything up. Okay, so we have our mix ready to go for our breading. The next thing you need is an egg wash. Egg washes are pretty basic. It's 1 cup of milk. You can use any kind of milk that you want. I'm using skim milk because we can. If you want to use almond, soy milk, or that kind of thing, if you can't have the, dairy, go ahead and use one of those, whichever one's your favorite. I try not to get a vanilla flavored, just a basic one, because if not, the vanilla kind of comes through. The egg whites, I use actually predominantly egg whites. I only have actually 2 regular eggs in here, and it's about 6 eggs. Flaxseed is a great alternative to eggs, especially in this recipe, and it can be used 1 to 2 different ways. You can use 1/4 cup and make sure your flaxseed is ground in your actual dry ingredients. I recommend this method if you are using 2 cups of an alternative milk, such as almond milk, rice milk, etc. I, however, recommend if you can't use the other milk for whatever reason and you're using water, I would use 2 cups warm water, not too hot, and then add your 1/4 a cup of flaxseed. Again, it needs to be ground, and you want to go ahead and put that in your water. You want to let that steep for about 15 minutes, and then it will actually whisk it together like you would your actual your egg wash, and you're actually going to end up with almost a consistency of eggs with an egg wash. It'll look kind of weird, but it works really well. We're going to go ahead and move this out of the way. And we're going to go ahead and start breading our chicken tenders, finally. Okay, so we're putting quite a few chicken tenders in here. I don't want to put them all because I want to overcrowd it. Have your chicken ready to go into the breading. And I really like a lot of breading on my chicken. And I don't shake anything off. I'm going to put it down because it's going to actually sit there for a while. We're going to actually put this in the refrigerator or the freezer. You can if you want to really make it quick. But it just needs to go in the refrigerator for about 15 minutes and sit and rest, and really let that egg and the proteins from the egg and the milk actually help gather on your breading, because nobody wants a naked tendy. Okay, I'm going to bread all of these chicken tenders And we're gonna let them rest for about 15 minutes in the refrigerator so that breading can get really adhered on. And we're gonna make a sauce for the chicken tenders that you can use to dip them in. It's a sauce that I really just enjoy with these chicken tenders. With the breading, I really find it complements it really well. You can use any sauce that you want though, barbecue, or maybe you're not a saucy person and you want no sauce. So you can eat them either way. And we'll get started on that in just a minute. We have our chicken tendies. They're in the refrigerator, and they're going to be sitting there for about, like I said, 10-15 minutes. Long enough to go ahead and whip this dipping sauce up real quick. Our ingredients for our dip is 1 cup of mayonnaise. If for some reason you can't use mayonnaise, you can use a vegetarian mayonnaise. If you can't use one of those, you can also substitute out mustard and honey as an option. It works pretty decent with all these ingredients. You wouldn't think it, but it actually works pretty decent. And then sour cream is also an option as well. It just depends on your preference and what you can and can't eat. We have 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. Here the recipe also calls for 1 teaspoon of garlic and 1 teaspoon of onion powder and 1 teaspoon of Italian herbs. I have 2 teaspoons of onion powder because, like I said earlier, my daughter is allergic to garlic, so we don't really use any garlic. Which I do miss garlic, and she misses it as well, but yeah, I have to make substitutions. And I find using extra onion helps a little bit. Of course, you can't replace the flavor of garlic. Tried many times. But onion, doing a little bit extra onion does seem to enhance the flavor. Salt and pepper to taste. You want a little bit less, a little bit more, go for it. I use about 1/2 teaspoon of each. I'm not a huge salt fan, so I go a little bit even less than that, more like 1/3 teaspoon. If you want a little spicy kick, you can always use about 1 tablespoon of like red pepper sauce, like whatever sauce that you can have, hot sauce, that type of thing. You could even add in a little bit of just powder, red chili powder for flakes and that kind of thing, about 1/4 teaspoon if you want like a little bit of a kick. Okay, so simply all we're going to do is go ahead and put these in the bowl, and then we'll whisk it together until it's blended thoroughly. Scrape all this lovely mayonnaise off. Lemon juice in. No real huge order to anything. Go ahead and scrape that off. Put my spatula over here. And we're just going to whisk it together. It's real simple. Okay, our oil is pretty much ready to go. I keep it at about 325, 350. I'm using a Mediterranean blend oil. You can use avocado oil. I like both of those. They have a pretty high smoke point. If you have a Fried Daddy or even an air fryer, this recipe actually works pretty well. I have not used very many of the air fryers myself personally. I'm a purist, natural at heart. I think we should have some fat in our diets. So as far as like if the gluten-free flours do very well in those, I'm honestly not sure. If anybody else knows if they do well, please comment, let me know. And then I guess we'll go ahead and get started frying. So when I go ahead and start frying my chicken, this is when I'm going to actually get any of the excess off. If you have a deep fryer that you're using, you want to go ahead and put your baskets in. I find that works the best. And I want you to, you want to drop them individually. Don't overcrowd your basket. Same thing with the skillet. You don't want to overcrowd it. Each time you're putting one in, you're making your fryer oil actually go down. I find a lot of people overfry their chicken. You still want it to be juicy. I have a cooling rack ready. I went ahead and I put some paper towels down, racks over top of that. If you don't have one of these, you can go ahead and put it on just directly onto the paper towels, but you don't want to leave it there for very long, because what it does is it makes your chicken soggy, and that's not the whole point of it. You want a crispy chicken. When you're about halfway through, about 3.5, 4 minutes, you're going to probably go ahead and flip your chicken tenders. I filled the oil about halfway, So I didn't want to have too much splash over. I still have some control, but I still have some floating as they start to get done as well. And you have to take patience. You have to have patience when you're frying. Another way to actually also reduce your fat is you could actually go ahead and put these in the oven and bake them in the oven, and they will get crispy, and they will have significantly less amount of fat. Okay, our chicken tenders, at least our first batch, is pretty much done. So I'm going to go ahead and take those out, let them cool, and drain off a little bit. You can season them right now with some extra salt and pepper if you are, like I said, a heavy salter. I am not, because you're going to have a lot of salt in the dip anyway. And as my daughter says, the chicken tendies are done. So we have our sauce. Got a spoon. Real difficult. And now the fun part is to eat them. Your breading's going to be a little bit dark and it's going to look like, oh my gosh, I burnt these. No, you want them to be pretty dark. It just happens to be when you're frying a lot of the gluten-free items, this doesn't have any cornmeal in it, and it tends to get a lot darker, I've noticed. The sweeter your flours are, or that kind of thing. The sugar really has a tendency to make it a little bit more brown. Experiment with your flours, change them up a little bit if you don't like this mix or blend. That's all I can tell you to do as far as to make them better. So now we get to eat them. And if you crack them open, you see that they're nice and juicy. Little sauce. Very good. So good. Okay, and this is how we make chicken tendies at my house. I hope this helps you tame your allergy dragon. Please like, comment, and subscribe below. Follow me on my social media. The links are down in the description, Instagram and Twitter. Okay, that was my first video, and hopefully it won't be my last. Bye.